She is a Filipino prima ballerina, the first foreign soloist to ever join the Kirov Ballet. Previously the vice chairman of the Philippine UNESCO National Commission, she is currently the artistic director and CEO of Ballet Manila, which recently celebrated its 30th year. With us now on Thought Leaders in celebration of Women's Month, please welcome Liza Macuja-Elizalde. So good to see you, Liza, and congratulations
Hello.
on your 30th year.
Thank you so much, Cathy.
It was just so refreshing to see your 30th year celebrated in a mall with people from all walks just watching and just so riveted.
Yeah. Yeah. That was our press launch where we announced our Pearl year, the 30th season of Ballet Manila.
You know, I've seen a couple of dances there, but you had us at Nutcracker. Everyone just stopped and just flipped out their phones and started to watch and record. Those were your students from Ballet Manila.
Yes, not students before they became professional ballet dancers. They are now professional ballet dancers.
Wow, you've
in
seen that
Ballet
whole
Manila.
journey, like 30 years of just training, right from their youth to their professional dancing careers. What's it been like? Because you are the CEO of Ballet Manila, but at the same time, you also head up your own school. So how does that all connect the dots?
Well, I started off as a dancing artistic director. So I would be really focused a lot on my dancing, and then I would delegate classes, rehearsals, mentoring more to my co-director and my guest ballet mistresses, ballet masters, and choreographers. After I retired, when I turned 50, I retired from active dancing. And I concentrated on teaching, choreography, and mentoring the next generations of dancers.
It is indeed the full arch, and it's just so beautiful to see that in 30 years. And you started with a group of 12. My understanding is that you were all very young.
Yes.
Naive was the word you used, kind of, but hopeful and idealistic.
Very much so.
How did those characteristics work together to build what you have from the start when everything was just so uncertain in the environment you were in?
Well, the thing with the beginnings of Ballet Manila is we had very, very humble beginnings. And it was because 12 dancers left the ballet company that we were currently with and formed Ballet Manila. At that point in 1995, my alternatives were go abroad and get a job abroad, and continue my dance career abroad, or put up my own company. And we decided to put up our own company, Ballet Manila. It was a leap of faith. It was definitely a gamble, and it just paid off. We didn't expect that we would reach 30 years with this kind of success. But at that point in 1995, we really just wanted to dance.
and you said in one of the interviews, I didn't have a choice, but you did. I mean, you either went abroad or you stayed back and create this company. What made you stay here for good?
I think it was basically the calling to create a ballet company that was by the dancers, for the dancers, that would be an example of being a professional ballet company that took care of the artists. For me, as artistic director, I continue to give value to the artists that performs on stage. As artistic director, I'm only as good as my dancers that go on stage.
You said it was a risk. I'm sure it was a calculated risk, but what were the risks in the mid-90s that made you kind of iffy whether you were going to set up Ballet Manila?
Well, it was a risk first and foremost because I didn't really have a board that was supporting the company financially. We did not have a home studio. We did not have a home theater. We did not have a staff. I was basically doing everything. I was writing the sponsorship letters. I was teaching. I was rehearsing. I was even the one editing the music and all of that. I was doing all the negotiations, all the phone calls, and then that all changed, of course, 2 years after, when in 1997 I married Fred, and he basically changed the whole setup of Ballet Manila. It became a company that had a home studio. Later on, he gifted me with not just one but two theaters, Star Theater and then Aliu Theater. And so we started performing. We started performing in Star City, and we started touring. We had ballet and ballads. We had Circus de Ballet. We had all of these, and of course we had regular seasons. And with that kind of those kinds of resources, we were really able to build the company to the 50 strong. Then of course, it all disappeared overnight when fire just destroyed Star City and burnt Star Theater to the ground and closed us up 3 months before the pandemic closed up everything. So post-pandemic and post-fire, we're now back. 44 dancers celebrating its Pearl anniversary.
Congratulations. I know the Pearl Gala just happened,
Mm-hmm.
and it was really a celebration of your commitment to what we've come to know as classical ballet.
Mm-hmm.
And in the way that the Russians do it in the Vaganova
Mhm.
method.
Mm-hmm.
How has that evolved, though, from your lens, being a Filipina who's brought Russian classical ballet to the Philippines
Mm-hmm.
and have taught that through the generations in 30 years?
Mm-hmm. Well, the Russian classical ballet foundation that I have, which is taught in the Vaganova method, it's basically a foundation of how to teach classical ballet. It's a year 1 to year 8, so it's an 8-year training program that we have in my school, the Liza Macuja School of Ballet, and that ultimately gives the ballet student the technical foundation to become a professional dancer. It is still for me, the best foundation for a ballet career because it really strengthens the body, the legs, and it uses a very dancey sort of style, especially with the upper body. It's not as straight as the other schools. It has this kind of like classical flow that I love about it, and also it enables the dancer to go into any other style, whether it be contemporary, Graham, or any of these modern ballet styles, or jazz, or even Filipino choreographies. It's the foundation that enables you to do anything and everything.
It's beautiful how you put words into something that we see without any words on stage and really make us understand how special this method that you've employed. Just let's go back to the kind of audience, though. When you set up your company, how are Filipinos in their acceptance of the ballet that you have set up here, the ballet company you've set up, and the way that you performed in front of them? Were they receptive, or were they in need of knowing a little bit more about the performance art?
Well, when we first started 30 years ago, of course, this was way back then. There were 3 ballet companies: Ballet Philippines, Philippine Ballet Theater, and Ballet Manila. Right now, we have 4 ballet companies. The Alice Reyes Dance Philippines is now also very active. And our audiences, I used to perform, every time I would like put up my leg, there'd be screams or howls or even laughter. And now it's very different. Now there's that knowledge and respect and awe when the audiences come and watch the ballet, and they come regularly. We have our fan base already. We have people that know each, and I think social media has a lot to do with it as well. But the reach of the art form is definitely a lot broader, and the the number of ballets and of course the quality of the ballet performances that we perform has definitely shot up, really. And I think that's mainly because it's been 30 years of continuous growth, continuous training. So we train the audience as well. And to, to be able to appreciate a good ballet performance.
There's a lot of respect with somebody who runs like a duck.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed that when you did that in your TED Talks
Yeah.
in UP.
Uh-huh.
But social media, yes, it can be a tool.
Mhm.
You have millennials in your home. You've
Mhm.
got Missy and Mac
Mhm.
as guides. But what
Mhm.
about the Gen Zs? You know, are there different approaches to
Mhm.
making them interested first in the school of ballet?
Mhm.
Because you've got baby ballet up to lifestyle ballet
Mhm.
before they even think about going pro.
Well, first of all, the training aspect, it starts, yes, very early. Some kids start at age 3, 4, 5. Serious training starts usually at the age of 8, 9, or 10. I myself started at the age of 9. So that's considered late now. So even that kind of mentality, a lot of parents want their kids to start ballet training at the age of 3, 4, 5, which is a bit early. And a lot of adults go into ballet after in their 30s or 40s or 50s even. I actually have a ballet student in my adult ballet class who's 70 and wants even to go on point, So
And she can
yeah,
at 70.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you can train. You
Yes.
can train every day for it. And I think a lot of people before used to think of ballet as a hobby, as something that you do as an extracurricular activity. And now it's pretty much accepted that if you're really serious in ballet, you can make it a profession. You can dance your whole life. You can have a very active career. And then for the performances, what I think really cultivates the audience is just one beautiful, great ballet performance after another. You have to have a track record of good performances. Nobody wants to watch a bad performance of ballet. So that's how you convert the audience. You have an entertaining and educating performance after performance after performance. You have to continue to pique the interest of the audience, not just with a repetition of the classics, although that is very good to keep the classics alive, but to present something new and something original and something Filipino.
And you have the
Yes.
original Filipino ballet with
Mhm.
Ibong Adarna,
Florante
Kwento,
at Laura.
Florante at Laura,
Mm.
Kwento ni Lola
Mga kwento ni
Basyang,
Lola Basyang. Mhm.
and another one, mga tatlong kwento
Tatlo
pa.
pang kwento ni
Kwento.
Lola Basyang. Yes.
How did you come up with these adaptations? Because they really brought ballet to the Filipino as we understood them all. We all grew up with these beautiful stories.
Mhm. Well, like Romeo and Juliet is a ballet that's performed all over the world, and it started off as a play. Yeah. So, mga kwento ni Lola Basyang, tatlong kwento ni Lola Basyang and tatlo pang kwento ni Lola Basyang started off as a partnership with Anvil Publishing that published the children's books of mga kwento ni Lola Basyang. My kids, as you mentioned, they were very young. They were in school, and there was a book fair in school, and I just saw this 12-book collection of mga kwento ni Lola Basyang. I got all the books, and I said, let's pick one and make it into a ballet. We couldn't decide on the one. We had to have 3. So that was the first tatlong kwento ni Lola Basyang. Tatlo pang kwento ni Lola Basyang, of course, we added 3 more. Ibong Adarna, we all take it up in school. I took it up in school, and Florante at Laura. And that one, we really wanted to have a ballet that depicts Ibong Adarna and Florante at Laura. And we want to continue with the storytelling.
Which makes me think this is not a one-woman band. For sure, you have the whole team,
Of course.
working towards how to execute. So take us through that whole thought process. You brought them the books, the children's books, one day at Ballet Manila, and said,
Yeah.
"This is our next performance."
Yes, yes.
How did
that's
that
right.
come to be? How does everybody contribute to that creative process?
Okay, well, I gathered the team around and present them with the idea, and then we start brainstorming. And then once we make the decision about what we're going to present, for example, we said we're going to present a romance, ang prinsipe ng mga ibon. We're going to have a adventure, a fantasy ballet, which is the second ballet, ang kapatid ng tatlong Maria. And then we're going to have a comedy, which is, and that teaches a lesson, which is ang mahiwagang violin. And so once we decided on the 3 ballets of Tatlong Kwento ni Lola Bashang, we had to divide the work. So I decided I'll choreograph the middle ballet. Osias Barroso, my co-artistic director, decided to choreograph the romance. And Tony Fabella, at that time, decided to choreograph was invited to choreograph the Mang Mahiwagang Violin. And for that, the choreographer is now in charge of the ballet, and we sought out the composer to do the original music. So for Prinsipe ng Mga Ibon, Mon Faustino arranged Filipino music from 5 national artists of music into a score. For Kapatid ng Tatlong Maria, I sought the expertise of Joey Ayala, and we collaborated on a score. And for Mahiwagang Violin, Tony Fabella collaborated with national artist for music, Ryan Cayabyab, at that time. So once the music is there, the choreography starts, the designs we got from the children's books, the costumes were recreated, and usually about 3 to 6 months later, you have a performance.
Does it get testy down the line? Like, your creative differences coming through? Boardroom battles,
well,
as it were, in
course.
Ballet Manila.
I think most of the time it's really I give my choreographers carte blanche. So, but I do sometimes I give suggestions that they may or may not do. It's perfectly fine. Mainly, really, is we need to have the ballet that the audience will want to come back again and again to watch. So
what's your
that's
frame
the goal.
of mind then? What kind of audience are you catering for? If you're creating something so creative as this, who are you wanting to invite to the theater?
We want to have everyone come to the ballet, really. I mean, we want the ballet to be accepted and sought after, just like, say, a concert or people watching movies, or people going to the mall and to entertain themselves on a Sunday. That's how we want the ballet to be. It's like an option, a popular option for entertainment for the entire family.
Ticket prices then, I mean, are they as affordable as they've been? I mean, I've seen online it goes for like
cheaper.
At least 1,000 to around 2,000.
Yes, it's
pesos.
2,000 and 1,000 pesos. 2,000
So that's
for the
cheaper
center.
already from
That's actually
previous.
cheaper than, say, going to a play where the tickets are 3,500, 4,000, sometimes 5,000 pesos.
That's like 4 tickets in a luxury cinema for anybody wanting to watch maybe a Hollywood flick.
Yes. But, a live performance really has to be a little bit more expensive, because the cost of a live performance it's quite a lot. But we try to keep our tickets lower, and we cater to the student public that come to watch, say, the performance and maybe write a paper about it, or it's like exposure to the arts. We have special prices for them. We have special packages for, say, fundraising groups that want to buy a performance and sell tickets to raise funds for their organization. We have that, and we have of course our tickets available on Ticket World for the general public.
I was looking at the advanced ticket sales, not just for the Pearl Show, but also for Swan Lake coming up in May. that's like all sold out.
Yeah.
If
It's not sold out, but it's selling really well.
selling really
Yeah.
well. What are the metrics then? I mean, how would you compare that from maybe the pre-pandemic years, just as a fair comparison?
I'm actually really encouraged and very happy because normally Filipinos don't buy their tickets in advance. But I think with the exposure to, say, all of these big grand musicals that come in and sell their tickets for next year's performance, now people are also buying their tickets in advance for local productions. So I'm really happy about that. Swan Lake is selling very well. In fact, those watching the show, if you want to come Swan Lake, please get your tickets already because they are going quite fast. And I'm very happy
Catherine
about
Barker is going to be the guest dancer there, coming all the way
Yeah.
from the U.S. How
Yes.
much of a draw is that, and how important is that the foreign performer comes and joins you in a local production? Does that really draw in folks?
Yes, Catherine Barkman is a soloist of San Francisco Ballet. She used to be in Ballet Manila. She was a principal dancer in my company for 3 years. And then she, with her partner Esteban Hernandez, are coming to dance 3 performances of Swan Lake. And then Renata Shakirova, who was our guest performer in Giselle last year, is coming to dance Don Quixote in August. And I think it's really important to be able to expose the Filipino audiences to guest artists, just as it is important to be able to collaborate with guest artists and guest choreographers for a local ballet company to be able to do that, because you learn so much really from exposure to guest artists. It's not just a bigger ticket draw as well, because these performers you don't get to watch all the time. So people are, of course, more interested to be able to come and watch these performers live. I mean, you don't have to go all the way to the Mariinsky Ballet to watch Renata Shakirova in Don Quixote. You can come to Manila and watch her this August.
And it might also be challenging because of the Russia-Ukraine war, where it's prohibited in some ways and in many ways. How has that disrupted, if at all, your engagements with the Russian classical ballet school?
You know, it hasn't disrupted anything because they're artists. They're not, they're not really into politics. And I just, I grew up with, like, for example, Tatiana Udolenkova is like a second mother to me. Her family, and of course her students, and that whole ballet community. It's just a part of me. So we call, we talk, and we exchange ideas. And of course, I invited Russian ballet masters and mistresses to come and teach in the company and in the school. And it's been an ongoing collaboration, really. It stopped with the pandemic, but then it's coming back.
And you have already gone back to Moscow, even as the war
to St. Petersburg.
To St. Petersburg. What was it like, the journey? I mean, not very many have gone to Russia, and little is known really of the other side, apart and away from the Russia-Ukraine war.
I visited St. Petersburg March of last year, and everything was really normal. Of course, compared to when I was there during the Brezhnev, Andropov, Chernenko, and Gorbachev years, it's very different,
Before the Berlin Wall came down.
Yes,
you just mentioned a couple of
exactly.
things there that made me remember, like, which year was
So
this?
I was there from 82 to 86. And so at that time, of course, it was very different. It was still communist Russia, And now when I got there last year, there was, say, a Max Mara downstairs, and there was like a 5-star hotel, like the Four Seasons, that we could stay in, and it was really very, very different. There were restaurants, there were shops, everything was available. Whereas when I was a student, it was very sparse. Let's just put it that way.
When you get to speak with your Russian friends, and of course your mentor, you've had a beautiful photo with her when she celebrated her birthday. How did the conversations go, though? Is it quite awkward to actually mention about, the war that's ongoing and protracted as it has been?
I try not to talk about it, really. That's we just avoid the conversation because they have really nothing to do with what's going on right now.
But here in the Philippines, though, I mean, do Filipinos feel a little differently because it's Russian classical ballet, or do they appreciate it for what it is, for whatever is going on geopolitically? Doesn't matter. What are you seeing?
I think it really doesn't matter because ballet is it's a universal language. It's a performing art that has transcended all of this. So if you watch a beautiful Russian ballerina dancing Don Quixote or Giselle, I mean, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the beauty and the art form that you watch in front of you, really.
You made a mention of a couple of those you've worked with and given tribute to them at the Pearl Show, the late co-director Osias Barroso Jr. You've also given tribute to the founding members, Eric Cruz and Sandra Lin Huang. What of their contributions you think you'll be taking forward as you evolve Ballet Manila beyond 30 years, as you innovate? Because you're not staying to just classical. You're already innovating.
Yes.
But what of those in their legacies that you take with you?
Well, Eric V. Cruz really started Ballet Manila, and he, up to now, really, his Carmen is one of our flagship ballets that we continue to perform. Osias Barroso was my partner for 16 years, my dance partner for 16 years. And then he became my co-artistic director. And he was doing everything, say, that I do now. He was mentoring, he was coaching, he was teaching, he was choreographing. And without him, I would not have been able to dance as long as I have. Because if I had to do everything that I do now, that I'm not dancing, I don't think I would have been able to continue dancing myself. And he passed away 2 years ago. And then Sandra Lin Huang was one of our founding members. She passed away last year. And so I guess we just remember these people and how much they've contributed to the organization that is celebrating its 30th year.
And to the way that you're now mentoring, from performance to mentoring, there'd been a very critical moment there. You mentioned 50 as a sort of a retirement age for you. I'm aware that you've had a hip replacement.
Yeah.
How did that change the course of your, the vision that you had for ballet as a performing art, knowing that it's the only thing that you love to do the most, and yet you've been maimed in a way, or changed in a way by the good Lord?
Well, they say that ballerinas or performing artists, mainly ballerinas and ballet dancers, premier dancers, they die two deaths, the physical death and the death that happens when you retire from the stage. It's inevitable. It just comes in earlier for performing artists like myself, because ballet, it's a young art form. It's really something that young dancers do. Once you hit in your late 30s, early 40s, late 40s, normally dancers retire from active performing because of it's just the wear and tear and the injuries that can happen as you get older. However, up here, you have all the experience and you have all the knowledge. It's just that it's not communicating with the body anymore. The body is not responding to all the lessons that you've learned in the past. So there is a time when my friend told me, when you start to feel relief after a performance that you've just done, instead of joy and excitement, then you know that you need to retire soon.
There's a fine line between
when
relief and joy.
When you start to count after Act 1, okay, great, I did that act. Now this Act 2, I gotta survive this one. Yeah, then it's time to maybe think of retiring. For me, I did squeeze out a few more years. I think I retired completely at 52 when I had the hip joint replacement. And that was a choice, really, because I was just in so much pain. And I opted for that hip joint replacement. And it's enabled me, as I said, to have this new career, which is as a full-time director, choreographer, mentor, teacher, jury member, and I give master classes all over the world. It's been a great transition.
It has, and it looks like it, the way you smile and that you're very happy with how things have transformed for you. But talk to us about that whole process, though, of becoming a mentor. How did you get to embrace it? Did you learn it the hard way, perhaps? Or was it an easy transition, knowing that it was like a hard start again, given that that's the choice given you next?
Now that you ask me, it wasn't like a hard full stop, not dancing, now I'm mentoring, because way back when I started to teach boys in my scholarship program, which has now become Project Ballet Futures, I was teaching already. I was teaching. When I came back from Russia, I started teaching. So it wasn't really something that, I stopped dancing, now I'm teaching, or now I'm mentoring. I was doing both things at the same time. It's just that I was concentrating a lot more on my dancing before. Now I'm concentrating a lot more on my mentoring and teaching.
And Project Ballet Futures, glad that you mentioned, because that's like the third leg of whatever you do. What's in store for Futures, and why do you call it Futures?
Project Ballet Futures basically is our ballet scholarship program. We give deserving students a meal, free ballet training, and free ballet equipment. And basically, the intention is for them to become professional dancers in the future. So we've had a very, very successful program in the past, and happy to say that we're going to be auditioning for a new batch of scholars.
Your daughter Missy had a fun fact to share about you at the Ballet Manila archives. She says Liza Macuja is a great dealer at poker and very competitive at Chinese checkers.
Yes.
How did you get to be good at both?
Well, when the family relaxes, we play board games.
Okay.
And my dad taught us how to play poker. And so I taught my kids how to play poker. Chinese checkers, again, it's a board game that we just have fun playing.
One of the more heartwarming messages that she brought out there in that blog was when she talked about how you had allowed her to grow into the person that she is right now. Because, and I quote, she said, she has been so supportive of everything I've done, even if she doesn't understand it. I found that really compelling.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When I told my parents that I wanted to become a professional dancer, they were just as maybe at first apprehensive.
Even if mom was a dancer herself, she did ballet.
My mom had to stop her ballet training because of the ballet ban in the 1950s, but she did want to become a ballerina. She had to stop at the age of 13, and she was training since she was 6. But my dad wanted me, well, my grandparents, my dad wanted me to go to university, wanted me to become an accountant, actually, because we come from a line of accountants in the Macuja side. So when I first said I wanted to become a ballerina, there was apprehension, but there was also that full-out support. And that's how I want to support my kids as well. Because, I always tell my kids, whatever you want for yourself, you have to want it for yourself. Don't want it for me or your dad or your grandparents, but want it for you. Want the life that you want, and I will support you every step of the way. And Missy has had quite a journey because she actually wanted to become a ballerina.
You have some dance pictures together.
But she decided quite late. She decided at the age of 11. So we had to start training at the age of 11. And when you start late, usually what happens is you get, and you really push. What happens is you get injured. And so that's what happened to her. She got a lot of injuries that had to make her stop. And then she opted to go to the United States for university. And now she's a lawyer. So
congratulations.
I'm just supporting her, really.
So that's the end of her journey. I mean, I didn't see that she had already become a lawyer.
Uh-huh.
But you mentioned kids. So you have Mac.
Yes.
And you do have Fred to take care of the kids. So what's it like bringing up two kids then with the kind of work that you do, knowing that Fred used to be an Olympic swimmer and is a businessman, as we all know?
Yeah. Well, bringing up the kids, they grew up in the theater. They grew up knowing that I needed to, say, sleep early, and I needed to take care of my body if I'm going to be dancing. They always, before, would ask, Mama, how are your knees? Can you chase us around the house now? Can we play? And they were very cognizant of the fact that their mother was a ballerina, and that she was and I think it really helped that this ballet studio was right across our yard. So they were just across. So every time I would go home, I would spend time with them, go back to the studio.
So that would include running around the house. It's okay. A ballerina can do anything that any other mom can. Chase their kids down.
Yes,
be all right.
exactly. And I think what really exposed them to work hard themselves was the discipline. I always, as a leader, I would always lead by example, and I would just give a good example to all my dancers and my kids. So that's how I think they grew up with that kind of standard. They grew up with being exposed to two parents that were overachievers, and that made them want to achieve everything themselves as well.
And a leader that worked on stage and also at home. So you're a working mom.
Yeah.
Working ballerina.
Yes.
What's it like then leading both worlds at the same time and making sure you kind of toss and juggle those balls and nothing falls?
Yeah, it was hard, of course. Now I'm empty. We're empty nesters.
Is it with Mac?
Yeah,
Mac as well in the
he's
US?
also in UCLA now, going for his PhD in archaeology. But basically, it's, delegation, having a great team that you can rely on, and prioritizing, just listing your priorities, maybe getting a lot done, say, very early in the morning when everybody's still asleep.
You still have the schedule right now.
Up to now, yeah.
Wow.
I still get up quite early, and I still get a lot done before the day officially starts. But really, like any working mom, you just have to make everything work, and make the sacrifices that you need to make, and the decisions you need to make in order to benefit everyone, not just your family. So there's timing, So for example, it's production week, then maybe the family understands. Okay, it's production week, then Lisa has to stay in the theater all day, and then it's vacation. Yay, we can just bond and relax and have a great time. So again, it's basically balancing everything with organization, delegation, and priorities.
And cooperation with the family that is affected. And also, I guess, communication, most importantly.
Definitely.
You're approaching your pearl year yourself as a married couple.
Yes.
What keeps you together?
Oh, what keeps us together? I think we just really love, we share a lot of interests, and We just love traveling together and spending time together. And yeah, we have a family. So he loves to watch the ballet, even when before he was like, I'm not gonna watch when you're not dancing. But now, now he watches even when I'm not dancing anymore. And he's really super supportive and very loyal. In fact, he asks, when's your next performance? Okay. All the time, when's your next performance?
And also seeing it from a different perspective, the production value and how everything's come together, because you're creating your own genre. We have about 5 minutes to go, but I wanted to ask, for those who wanted to go your path, maybe not as a prima ballerina, but really create your own path where there is none,
Yeah.
what do they do?
Well, I always have this three-step formula. I think you need to make a decision as early in life as you can on what your path is going to be or what your interest is, what you're passionate about, because the decision to commit to that path and that passion is crucial. You need the time to be able to, which the second step is to seek the best mentor or the best school or the best company or the best organization that's going to direct you towards that passion and path that's going to lead to success in that passion. It doesn't have to be ballet, it can be anything, right? And then third, once you're in the proper environment and you have that mentor, you have that teacher, or you have that team that's going to help you achieve your dreams, then you work hard, but you also work smart. With ballet, you have to work hard, but also take care of your body to avoid injury. For example, with ballet, you have to make a decision really early in life because it's a 20-year career maximum. So you have, as a teenager, you have to already be an apprentice in a ballet company if that's what your goal is to become a prima ballerina in the future. So that's three steps really. Decide and commit, get the proper mentorship or the proper training for the skills that you need to succeed, and then work hard but smart.
And before you go, how do you keep so well? Because you don't look a day older than the last pictures I've seen you on when
Thank
you were
you.
still performing.
I exercise every day. It's more of a habit, really. That it's like taking coffee in the morning. I just need to exercise. I lead a very active lifestyle, and when I teach and I choreograph, I sweat it out as well in the studio. I try to eat right.
What's eat right?
Huh?
What is eat right?
Eat right, well, mostly appetizers, vegetables, salads. I try to avoid desserts and sugar. And
You got great discipline there.
oh yeah, yeah. And really, just take care of your body. You only have one, so you only have one instrument, which is your body. So I really take care of it. I never really smoked or. And I get enough sleep. And I think really just keeping motivated and keeping that positive attitude every single day. We wake up and it's, what am I going to do today? Let's do it.
On to the next 30 years.
On
for
to the
Ballet
next 30
Manila.
years, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Lisa.
you
It's been
so
such a
much.
pleasure. And catch us again next Thursday at 9 p.m. Philippine Standard Time on One News. You can also check out the long conversation on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And if you haven't done so, like or follow my social media pages. I'm Cathy Yang, and this is Thought Leaders.